Thank you for joining us today as we prepare for our 2019 Holston Annual Conference session. This year's annual conference will gather under the theme of Healing Hands. As we look throughout our churches, our communities, and our nation, we find sick, hurting, and broken people. As disciples of Jesus, we are called to be the healing hands of our Lord. For some of us, this is a call into the field of medicine. For others, it could be a call into the field of counseling. But for all of us, it is a call to love those around us and walk with them on their journey toward healing. You've been receiving annual conference newsletters by email, providing you information related to registration and participation in opportunities and deadlines. We trust you have found these helpful. They will continue to come to you between now and annual conference, so continue to read them to be fully prepared. The Book of Reports is available online at ac.holston.org. In addition to the Book of Reports, you will find numerous resources related to annual conference. The pre-ordered printed copies of the Book of Reports have been shipped. The full schedule for the annual conference session can be found in the Book of Reports or can be downloaded from the annual conference website. Please note, registration for annual conference is only on site at Lake Junaluska this year. Registration on Sunday will begin at 2 p.m. and take place at the Foundation for Evangelism. This is the second building on the left as you come through the main entrance at Lake Junaluska. We will be in the Reynolds Conference Center, which is to your left when you enter the building. At registration, you will receive your name tag and a worship book. Please wear your name tag and bring your worship book to every session. Registration will move to room 202 in the Harrell Center beginning on Monday morning. Even if you were only able to attend part of the annual conference, please be sure to come by registration at some point so your attendance can be recorded. Those who are staying on the grounds at the lake will check in for your room at the Bethea Welcome Center next door to the Foundation for Evangelism. Here are some quick reminders for you in your preparation. Registration this year is still an online process for the 5K run, 1 mile walk, and for the missions dinner. May 17th at midnight is the deadline to sign up for the missions dinner and the 5K run, 1 mile walk to benefit the conference missions offering for opioid mission grants. The missions dinner is $25 per person, and the run walk registration is $10 for walkers and $20 for runners. If you need assistance with registration for these events, you may call the conference office. The registration deadline for child care is June 1st. The registration form is online at ac.holston.org. While the deadline for ordering your hard copy of the Book of Reports is now passed, the online copy is available on the conference website. You may download it at any time. In addition, you may also download an electronic copy of the worship book. The lay members of the conference will gather for the laity session on Sunday at 4 p.m. in Stewart Auditorium. The clergy session will begin at 5 p.m. on Sunday, also in Stewart Auditorium. To help with this transition, we would ask the lay members to exit Stewart as quickly as possible following your session so the clergy can enter and begin on time. The Board of Laity is coordinating a prayer ministry on behalf of the annual conference this year. A prayer room in the Room of Memories adjacent to the chapel will be available from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Monday and Tuesday. Since this year is a voting year, our schedule is a little different from most years. We will begin on Sunday at 7 p.m. by calling the conference to order and organizing motions. Afterward, we will have our welcome and time to explain our voting process. Sunday at 7:55 p.m. we will be having our opening worship with Holy Communion. Bishop Taylor will be preaching and music will be provided by the annual conference choir. Monday and Tuesday will begin with Bible study at 8:30 a.m. in Stewart Auditorium. Reverend Tony Collins will lead us Monday morning and Reverend Leah Burns will lead us on Tuesday. Holy Communion will be part of both services. The memorial service will be on Monday at 2 p.m. Our guest preacher will be Reverend Catherine Nance, pastor of First United Methodist Church, Maryville. There will be a conference choir for this service. Please contact Lori Sluter at lorisluter@holston.org by May 30th to participate. The first rehearsal will be Sunday evening following worship. Tuesday at 11 a.m. is the retirement recognition. Tuesday at 7:15 is the mission celebration. Bring your church's mission offering for our opioid crisis ministries with you to this service. The Reverend George Howard, the General Board of Global Ministries, and Miss Nancy Chinsvende Director of Isheanesu Ministries in Zimbabwe, will be our guest speakers. Special music will begin at 6:45 by the African Drums from Lenansini United Methodist Church. We end our worship time together in celebration on Wednesday at 2 p.m. with the commissioning and sending forth service with Bishop Taylor preaching. The Lake Junaluska Singers will share pre-service music beginning at 2 p.m. In addition to our wonderful times of worship throughout the week, this year's annual conference will once again have an emphasis on missions and learning through plenary sessions. On Monday morning, we will send off the trucks with the hands-on kits that have been collected for Zimbabwe and Liberia. The collection dates for these kits are June 5 and 6. Check with your district office for specific dates and locations for your collections in your area. At 10:05 a.m., Mr. Tim Hilton will be presenting The Addictive Brain, which will include information relating to the opioid crisis. Ms. Stephanie Strutner will share her presentation on opioid addiction Monday night at 7:20 p.m. Your local treasurer received an envelope for the annual conference mission offering for the opioid crisis ministry and an envelope for Change for Children offering. The annual conference mission offering for our opioid crisis ministries will be received on Tuesday night during the mission celebration. Please watch the following video to learn about this year's offering.
A Knoxville drug overdose support group back at work on a memorial set up only 5 days ago after the DA's office reported 4 more suspected overdose deaths in less than a week's time.
By now, there is no doubt you have seen and heard the statistics surrounding the national opioid epidemic. Statistics like more than 140 Americans die every day from an opioid overdose. In our Holston Conference area, more people died from opioid overdoses than perished in traffic accidents, homicides, or suicides in 2015, 2016, and 2017. Opioid overdose deaths totaled 1,186 in 2016, up a whopping 14.7% from 2015. According to the 2018 Drug Enforcement Agency report, Georgia, Tennessee, and Virginia are in the top 10 states impacted by opioid overdose deaths. Tennessee is ranked first in the nation in opioid sales. The problem is real. The results are scary. The effects are astronomical because, let's face it, we are all affected by this epidemic. We all know someone or some family that has been directly impacted by opioid addiction. Church, it's time we step up and do something about this. So here's what we are asking you to do. Pray. Start praying now. Begin by asking God how you and your church can get involved to help stop this epidemic. Join with other churches in your area to form a missional hub that focuses on an opioid recovery ministry. Give to this year's annual conference offering. While you are doing these things, here's what we want to do for you. Our 2019 annual conference offering will be used for grants to help churches and missional hubs begin new or strengthen existing ministries addressing the opioid crisis. We understand entire communities are being destroyed, and we believe it will take entire communities to turn things around. We also understand each area church or missional hub may need to focus on different areas of the crisis in order to meet the needs of their community. Some churches may start a Celebrate Recovery ministry, while others may focus on ministering to families who've been affected. We will need training, and we may need additional help identifying the social justice issues that need to be addressed, and this will take money. And so, we're asking you to give. Give so we can make a difference in our communities. Give so we can change these statistics that we are seeing and hearing. Give so that we can remind the world that the United Methodist Church is a connectional church that exists to transform the world. Holston Conference, what we are asking you to do is to choose a Sunday in May, any Sunday that works best for you, to take up an offering for the annual conference mission offering to address the opioid crisis in your area. Then take that offering to annual conference. And on Tuesday night, during the mission celebration, we will receive those offerings, which will then be used to make grants to churches, districts, or missional hubs. Give so we can help end the opioid crisis that is destroying our nation. This video and bulletin inserts are available for use in your local church at ac.holston.org. You are encouraged to receive a special offering at your church during the month of May for the conference mission offering. The Change for Children offering will be received on Tuesday morning outside Stewart Auditorium between the hours of 8:15 a.m. and 10 a.m. This offering is used each year to fund grants for children's ministry throughout the conference and in Africa. This is an ongoing ministry that will continue to provide grants to our local churches for their ministries with children. Our business sessions will allow us to hear updates from our conference ministry areas as well as our larger church connections. We will also recognize those who will receive the Denman Awards for evangelism and those who are being licensed and commissioned for ministry. We will hear from our conference institutions, including our Wesley Foundations and conference colleges and Holston Home. We will also hear from the Committee on Petitions and Resolutions. The proposed 2020 conference budget is $9,100,709. The Holston Conference Council on Finance and Administration has adopted the practice of setting a budget that represents the funding level currently provided through our congregational tithes. This practice enabled the conference to finish 2018 with a positive balance. The Book of Reports contains a summary page and the full budget proposed for adoption at annual conference. The proposed 2020 total budget figure is based on the 2018 tithe giving history. Based on the 2018 local church year-end reports, the tithe potential is $10.25 million. To assist with questions related to the budget, the Council on Finance and Administration and members of the Board of Pensions and Health Benefits will host a chat room on Monday of annual conference during the dinner break from 5 to 6 p.m. The chat room will be held in the Terrace Hotel, room 316. You may come and go as you like and ask your questions of CFA representatives during this time. The Board of Pensions and Health Benefits continues to monitor the health care costs and insurance coverage to provide the best plan and premiums possible for our lay and clergy participants. The 2020 rates for the local church direct invoice for health insurance will be $948 per month. The Commission on Equitable Compensation presents the recommendations for minimum salary each year for conference approval. The Commission is recommending a 2% increase to minimum salary levels for 2020. The conference strategy team has continued their work during the past year and will present to the annual conference a process for ongoing evaluation of conference health and structure for ministry. You may read more about their work in the Book of Reports.
One of the major aspects of the 2019 annual conference will be the election of delegates for the 2020 general and jurisdictional conferences. We will need to elect 6 delegates and 2 alternates for the general conference. We will also need to elect 6 delegates and 2 alternates for the jurisdictional conference. The first 2 persons elected for jurisdictional conference become the alternates for general conference. That means that in total we will be electing 14 clergy and 14 laity. We are taking a retro approach to our voting process this year. We will be using a Scantron machine with paper ballots to cast and count our votes. At the appropriate times, our tellers will pass out ballots to those eligible to vote. It is important to note only laity may vote for lay delegates and only clergy may vote for clergy delegates. All lay persons may vote on the laity ballots. However, not all clergy will be allowed to vote on the clergy ballots. The Book of Discipline states persons in the following clergy categories are eligible to vote: full connection elders and deacons, retired full connection elders and deacons, associate members, retired associate members, full connection clergy on voluntary leave of absence, full connection clergy on sabbatical leave, full connection clergy on maternity or paternity and/or medical leave. There is also a conditional eligible voting category for local pastors. Local pastors that have completed COS or have achieved a Master of Divinity degree and that have been under 2 years consecutive appointment can also vote. Within the various clergy positions, there will be different colored name tags to help our tellers know who should receive what ballot. All full connection elders and deacons, whether currently serving or retired, are eligible for consideration as a delegate to the general or jurisdictional conferences. Since we have a list of who these persons are, we have included the names of all eligible persons in the Book of Reports. Each clergy person has a unique number assigned to him or her, and you will use this number throughout the voting process to vote for the clergy of your choice. You will note that some clergy names have a strike-through. This means that these clergy have asked ahead of time to not be considered in the voting process. Laity have a nominations process to be considered as a delegate. Their names and information you will see within the Book of Reports represent those persons that followed the procedure as outlined in our annual conference standing rules. However, the Book of Discipline does allow nominations from the floor, and those nominations will be received during the laity session prior to the beginning of annual conference. Those persons that are nominated during the laity session will be assigned a number, and the numbers will be displayed during the voting process. The process is simple. I will announce the number of votes you may cast on each ballot, and you fill in the circle corresponding with the name of the person for which you want to vote. Please note, because I cannot stress this enough, if I state that you may vote for 5 persons on the ballot and you vote for 6 or more, then your ballot will not be counted, and we will not try to ascertain whom you really wanted to vote for on that ballot. However, if I state you should vote for 5 persons and you vote for 4 or less, then your ballot will be valid. You do not have to vote for as many as I state, but you cannot vote for more than I state. You may use a number 2 lead pencil and/or blue or black ink pens as long as they do not bleed through the ballot. The Holston Conference Foundation has graciously included a pen in each of our delegate packets that will be given to you when you register. If you make a mistake, you may ask a teller to hand you a new ballot. The teller will fold the ballot on which you made a mistake in quarters. That way, it will not properly feed through the Scantron machine and thus invalidating the votes on the erroneous ballot. The process should flow smoothly. Once the ballots are counted, the results will be brought back to me, and when Bishop Taylor finds time in the agenda, she will read the ballot results and another ballot will be taken if necessary.
Our time at Annual Conference is filled with many opportunities to learn about our shared ministries and the ways we live out our call to discipleship. Please take time to read the Book of Reports so you are fully prepared to enter into the Annual Conference sessions. If this is your first time to attend Annual Conference, you're encouraged to read through the orientation guide. A reporting guide for lay members can be found at the back of the Book of Reports so that you can take notes to better share your experience with your local congregation. For those who are not attending Annual Conference, a live stream will be available at ac.holston.org. Be sure to share this information with your home congregation so they too can join in the Annual Conference experience. This year, as we gather at Lake Junaluska for Annual Conference, we will consider the opportunities that are before us. We will also remember the promises of grace that sustain each of us. We will hear recommendations for our future, and we will build on the faithful steps of our past. We will give thanks for those who have served faithfully and those who have entered God's eternal presence. We will rejoice in those who are newly responding to God's call, and we will continue to share our time and offerings to love others in Jesus' name. We will gather to worship, to fellowship, to strengthen our discipleship and connection, and we will do all of this so we can follow God's call to be healing hands to our world. We look forward to seeing you at the lake.